Hello, my grots and gits, and have I got a freaking treat for you today. Welcome back to Happy Crumping Wargaming. Today we're going to be bringing it hard. We're talking about the Bully Boys. These are the masters of Krump, and they are 100% going to be one of the top ways to play orcs in the upcoming meta. So if you've gotten the new orc codex, you've been looking at your toys, you've been trying to figure out how do you want to put them on the battlefield, this video is for you. As a matter of fact, this is going to be the most comprehensive view of how to play Bully Boys on the internet to date. So if you enjoy this content, please, you know what you need to do. You just smash the like button, hit the subscription, and share it with your friends because the orcs have got to crump. So everyone needs to know how to crump, and that is our mission here on Happy Crumping Wargaming. We want to teach everyone to play the game at the top level possible while still having an absolute blast playing. So let's get into the Bully Boys. The Bully Boys. These bad boys go hard. They just straight up do not die. It's going to dramatically change the way that orcs are typically perceived on the table. Typically, they are thought of as the army that has massive pressure, hits really hard, and then dies when you sneeze at them. Not anymore in Bully Boys, because a couple things have changed. So we're going to be going through every single unit that specifically is benefited by Bully Boys. We're going to be going through all the enhancements, all the stratagems, and then at the end of the video, I am going to be giving you a really rock solid list to start with. This is the list I've piloted several times now, and it works extremely well. And there might be innovations in the future where we can shift things in and out, no problem at all. But this is where I've been playing, and I'm super happy with it. And I believe you will be happy with it as well. So let's just jump right into it. In Bully Boys, the detachment special rule is that once per game, in a turn you have not called the WA, you get to call the WA a second time. Now, because of that wording, it does seem like the special WA you call has to be the second time you call WA. And this is going to include only the knobs, war boss units, and mega knobs. These are the only units that get to WA twice. Now, it's really important that they included the keyword war boss. That means any unit that has a war boss in it. And as we're about to go through, there are a lot of war bosses in Codex Orcs. Now, be careful about which WA you're in. This is actually a pitfall that I found myself running into. Sometimes when I'm in the second WA, which is the one that only affects going to be knobs, war bosses, mega knobs, I forget that I actually can't advance and charge other units that don't have those keywords. So it's really important for you to try to keep that in mind. It is really critical when we're going through Bully Boys to understand that it is a very keyword dependent index. As a matter of fact, all of the strats exclusively apply to your knobs and your mega knobs. And that is very important to understand because if you don't, you might be using some strats on units that can't use those strats. Also, have we mentioned mega knobs? Woo, baby. Mega knobs are a spicy, spicy lot in this codex. So what are the keywords that, what are the units, what are the data sheets that really, really benefit from Bully Boys? And remember, you can run anything in the Orcs Codex in Bully Boys, but these are the units that specifically benefit here, all right? We have the Beast Boss, because the Beast Boss has the War Boss keyword. So the Beast Boss, and guess what he leads? Beast Sagas. Yes, your Beast Boss leading Beast Sagas will get the WA twice in this detachment, and that is very, very powerful, very, very strong. Your Beast Boss on Squigosaur also has the War Boss keyword. So that does actually mean that there is a world where we might run some Squighog boys inside Bully Boys because you can get them the WA twice. Could actually be quite a reasonable option. We've got the War Boss, whether he's leading your knobs or he's leading your boys, regardless, we have the War Boss. Then we have the War Boss in Mega Armor. Shocker, that guy's got the War Boss keyword. The Death Killer Wartrike has the War Boss keyword. So it does turn out that you can actually run the Death Killer Wartrike who is leading a unit of War Bikers, and they can get benefits of the WA twice, which is actually kind of cool. Gazcool Makarthraka. Oh, can I just say his name again real quick? Gazcool Makarthraka, because this guy is a legend now. I don't know if you guys have been watching my content for a while, you probably understand that in the index, I kind of hated Gaz. I hated hating Gaz because I love Gaz. And back in 9th edition, I ran him throughout the entire edition. But in 10th edition, I've hated him. However, with the glow up in the codex, Gaz is a beast again. And he truly is the biggest and the best again. So he gets a huge glow up in Bully Boys simply because you get to benefit from his lethal aura twice for 2 full battle rounds. That is critical on anything that else is that is also benefiting from the WA, which will include all your knobs and mega knobs and your War Boss units, which is really dang good. Mazarog has the War Boss keyword. You're probably not going to take him, but he has it. Then you've got knobs and mega knobs. And did I mention mega knobs? Let's go on into the enhancements. We're going to talk about the enhancements. Now, these enhancements are good. They're actually really dang cool, and they can cause some really interesting gameplay things to happen. So let's talk about them. Now, it is important to note that every single one of these enhancements can only go on infantry war boss. And infantry war bosses are your beast bosses, your war boss, and then your war boss and mega armor. Those are the only units that can take these enhancements. The only kind of exception is the teleporter, which exclusively applies to the war boss in mega armor. And shocker, it's one that you're probably going to take. Anyway, teleporter gives deep strike to a war boss in mega armor's unit. They get deep strike. That is awesome. Putting this on a Warboss Mega Armor, leading some Mega Knobs, it basically makes it so that you don't care that these dudes are really slow, and it gives you a lot of really interesting rapid ingress options. It's something I am 100% including in my list. It is not an auto-include. As a matter of fact, one of the really cool things that we're noticing about just Codex Orcs is I don't think there's auto-include units. There's just not. It's just a great codex with lots of options. However, I'm 100% going to be using the Teleporter enhancement on the Warboss and Mega Armor. Then the Big Gob. This is one that I think people might be sleeping on a little bit. I love this enhancement, and I think it is critically powerful in Codex Orcs. Infantry Warboss. So that means in a Warboss and Mega Armor, or a normal Warboss. At the start of the fight phase, one unit in engagement range of this character takes a Battle Shock test at -1. The -1 is what makes this enhancement so good. -1 really skews the math on who's going to pass and who's going to fail your Battle Shocks. So, for example, Chaos Knights are leadership 7 largely. So that means that when you are in engagement of those dudes, it doesn't mean that you have to charge them. It's just at the start of the fight phase, they could have charged you. And then you just say, take the Battle Shock test, and they need an 8 to pass. That's a really big deal. Tyranids might need a 9 to pass. Custodes will need a 7 to pass. This is a big darn deal, and it really skews the math, and it can really ruin people's plans. Because suddenly, now, since they failed the Battle Shock, they can't CP interrupt there, which allows you to start with other fights. Or they can't fight on death, or they can't do whatever. It's a really, really powerful ability, and I like it a lot. Then we have the Biggest Boss. Now, this one, honestly, I'm never going to take. I just don't see a world where I'm going to spend the points on it. It's +2 wounds to a infantry model. I don't need +2 wounds to any of my infantry models. And then Edstoppa. Now, this is actually a pretty interesting one. It's almost really good. But as is, it's just quite good on one specific model. So, Edstoppa, Infantry Warboss model. So, any of the Warbosses, Beast Boss, Warboss, or Warboss and Mega Armor, when targeting a unit below starting strength, reroll wound rolls of 1. If they're under half strength, full wound rerolls. Who does this sound like it might be really good on? Ladies and gentlemen, Grots and Gits, the Beast Boss loves this. The humble beast boss on foot loves this. You want to advance his army, or his unit, because he's leading a unit of Sagas, in front of a scary vehicle. You want one other unit from your army to throw grenades to cause 1 wound to that vehicle, and then suddenly this dude gets to go in. He's going to be hitting on 2s, rerolling hit rolls, because that's the ability of the Sagas, and then when he's rolling to wound, he gets devastating wounds with anti-vehicle/monster 4 up. So he's getting devastating wounds on 4s, and then you get to reroll 1s. That is very powerful. It can very easily get you an extra 2 to 4 devastating wounds, which can just completely annihilate a vehicle. If it happens to be under half strength, you're basically guaranteed to kill any monster vehicle in the game at that point, more or less. Which is just a very powerful ability. So I actually love the Edstoppa, and if I'm taking a Beast Boss leading Sagas, I'm running him with Edstoppa because it is fantastic. Now let's talk about some of the strats. One thing to note about these strats is they only apply to knobs or mega knobs. That's kind of limited. So it does mean that a lot of our builds are going to kind of rely on the mega knobs and the knobs. But I think, as we'll find when we go through some of the unit profiles, we're going to want to lean heavy into knobs and mega knobs anyway, because these strats be good, and the knobs and the mega knobs are some of the units that get to benefit from double WA. Arm to the teeth. Knobs or mega knobs, shooting or fight phase. Reroll hit rolls of 1. If you're in the WA, you get full hit rerolls. Now, this might not sound super great, but when you consider the fact that you're going to have 2 full battle rounds of being inside the WA, then you realize that this is a 1 CP, just reroll your hit rolls. That is very strong, especially in a detachment that doesn't have access to sustained hits. So you don't have quite as hard the hitting power as you're used to in other detachments. Warhorde, pour one out for your homies. because I miss sustained hits, and I freaking love sustained hits. But we'll get into War Horde in another video. So, Armed to the Teeth, fantastic freaking stratagem. Oh yeah, one other thing to note. All of these are only 1 CP. Oh boy. Works with a ton of great 1 CP stratagems, is scary. Then we have Too Arrogant to Die. Now this is really cool, because this gives us an option that we thought we would have lost by not playing War Horde. It gives us a fight on death. Now, it doesn't sound like a good fight on death. You can do it in the shooting phase or the fight phase, and the shooting phase is actually kind of cool that it's worded there, because that means that if you're in melee and you get shot to death, guess what? You still get to fight, which is pretty dang cool. So now, Knobs or Mega Knobs get to fight on death on a 5-up. Sounds like crap for 1 CP, but if you're in the WA, it's on a 3-up. For a 1 CP fight on death on a 3-up, that's a pretty dang good value. Now, I do prefer the 2 CP guaranteed fight on death that we get in War Horde, but you know what? For 1 CP, fight on death on the 3-up is a value town. And in all honesty, with this army, you're only going to be using this on your go turns, which would be Battle Round 2-3 or Battle Round 3-4, which is when you have the full WA anyway. Always looking for a fight. Fight phase, Knobs or Mega Knobs that just destroyed a unit, D3 plus 3-inch consolidate, or 6-inch in the WA. This is very strong. One little hang-up that a lot of people are going to screw up on this is it very specifically says that just destroyed a unit. So if you don't destroy a unit, you cannot use this for the big consolidation. So just keep that in mind. Crushing Impact. This is a very, very cool stratagem, which is going to allow us to get some of those sweet, sweet mortal wounds that we really need. Charge phase, Knobs or Mega Knobs. Just after ending the charge, one unit that is in engagement range, 1d6 per model in engagement range of an enemy model, 5-ups or mortals, or it's on 4-ups in the WA. So effectively, this will give you tank shock for your Knob or your Mega Knob squad. I can pretty much guarantee I'm generally only going to be using this on my 10-man Knob squads, because with the 10-man Knob squad led by a war boss, if I can get every model in engagement range at the end of the charge, which is actually pretty darn hard to do, you can average 4, 5, 6 mortals, and that's pretty strong ability. Now, in all reality, it's very unlikely you're actually going to be able to get all of them in engagement range at the end of the charge before you pile in. So you're probably only going to be filtering in 2, 3 mortals, maybe 4 mortals. That can be crazy good, because let's just say that we're charging Angron, for example, and Angron has 3 wounds left. Well, we killed him in the charge phase. Now we don't have to worry about him fighting on death on us. We don't have to worry about interruption on us. That's a really important and very, very cool ability to have access to. It also helps us deal with Satan a little bit, because now suddenly we can throw grenades, we can tank shock, and we can do a crushing impact. Very powerful combinations. Cut them down, Knobs or Mega Knobs. When one enemy unit falls back, they take a desperate escape test. Subtract 1 if the wall is active. Guys, this is one of the best stratagems in the entire game. Imagine this, if you will. I'm going to charge a line of whatevers. And, I'm going to charge Hearthguard. I'm playing Orcs. I hate playing Votann because Votann just beat Orcs. But I charge Votann with my Knobs. And the Hearthguard is a 10-man strong. And they're like, you know what? I don't care that you tagged me, because I'm going to spend a CP so that I can fall back, shoot, and charge. Now they fall back, you spend 1 CP, and now suddenly they die on 1s through 3s, which means the 10-man squad that falls back is now only a 5-man squad. The value out of this 1 CP stratagem is insane. Let's say you tagged a big nasty vehicle, and the big nasty vehicle needs to fall back. On a 1 through 3, it dies. This is a critically powerful stratagem. It is not necessarily the easiest stratagem to set up and use, but holy crap, do I love this thing. And then lastly, we have Hulking Brutes. And this is just a casual one, by the way. Opponent shooting fades, Knobs or Mega Knobs, AOC. Ugh. Okay, now I'm going to go through the math of what AOC actually does on Mega Knobs in a little bit. But just so you know, this is insane. This is gnarly. Let's start talking about some of the characters that we have access to and how we might actually be utilizing them. Okay. So, Death Killer Wartrike. He gets to proc the double wall on Warbikers. It can give you some actually really interesting speed, because they auto-advance 6 inches, which means that they're going 18 in the Y, and then they get to charge. They can do some great move blocking. It's not something I'm going to be exploring initially, but it's possible. It's doable. Then we have the War Boss. Now, the War Boss is a absolute Chad. You can run with Knobs, which is always an amazing option. Or, interestingly, he can run with the boys in here, because when you get the boys a double wall as well, suddenly they're going to be getting a little more survivability, and you're going to be able to proc all those sticky objectives with a lot more frequency. And one of the things that I believe people are going to understand about bully boys is bully boys probably struggle against hordes or lots of bodies. One of the classic debates that we're having right now in the Discord, which, by the way, you should sign up for the Discord. You can do either using a YouTube membership or my Coffee membership, which is down in the links below. You get access to my private Discord, and you get access to all of our thoughts and our competitive discussion, which is happening every single day. Not to mention, there's a lot of actually kind of cool, like fitness and stuff that's going on in there. It's a pretty awesome Discord, and we would love to have you join us. Anyway, I go back to the video now. So with your boys, they are really good at clearing chaff, and clearing chaff is actually kind of a really big issue in bully boys, and it's one of the, if not really the only main weakness that they actually have. So Warboss is great. I love Big Gob on him. I think I'm pretty much always running Big Gob on him with like 10 knobs. That's my humble opinion. Anyway, let's go back into the Warboss in Mega Armor. I love the teleporter on him. He's awesome. He's always going to be, no matter what, every single bully boys list I take, I'm going to take a Warboss in Mega Armor because adding +1 to hit makes that unit hit. Without that, it's kind of less threatening, if you will. And then suddenly you got to remember that the Warboss in Mega Armor got a little bit of glow up in the Codex because now he's getting that sweet flat damage 3 when he's in the wall. And now he gets that for 2 battle rounds. That's extremely important to understand. All right, so I love him, and I'm probably, I know me personally, I'm taking him with the teleport enhancement because I want to rapid ingress a unit of megas. Then we have the Big Mech and Mega Armor. Now here's the deal, guys. There's going to be a big argument that a lot of people are going to have. Do you lead your Mega Knobs with either the Warboss and Mega Armor or the Big Mech and Mega Armor? And there's a good argument for either way, because when you lead with the Warboss and Mega Armor, suddenly the Knobs becomes a real melee threat. You can be running them, they're hitting on 3s. It gets actually pretty dang scary. When you're running one with a Big Mech and Mega Armor, who is expensive, by the way, he went up, so he's like 100 points now, that unit doesn't die. That unit just does not die. And I'll talk about that a little bit more when we get to the Mega Knobs section here. I like both. In my list, I'm probably going to run both. And then we have Gazgul. Gazgul is a total rock star. I'm taking him. That doesn't mean I'm not 100% sold that you need Gazgul in Bully Boys, because he is pretty expensive, and Bully Boys, they are hurting for units a little bit. But I like Gazgul, and I'm taking him. He's going to be running with some Mega Knobs. Then we have the Beast Boss. We've already kind of spoken about him. He's an epic target for the Ed Stop enhancement, which lets him get the reroll ones to wound. And then we have a Beast Boss on Squigosaur. It's cute for a double wall on Squighogs. Now, me personally, I'm not taking Beast Boss on Squigosaur with Squighogs. I think Squighogs are overpriced for what they do right now. Them losing the +1 to hit when they're led by a knob on Smash a Squig is actually really hurtful. So I'm not taking them right now, but that doesn't mean they're not an option. It is something I'm going to explore in the future. Let's talk about the Mega Knobs. These guys are going to be the backbone of the Bully Boys list. With the glow up they got, and if you don't know what their glow up is, they used to have a pretty darn useless ability. Their ability used to be, in the wall, they get devastating wounds. Which meant 1 battle round per game, they have devastating wounds on 2 or 3 attacks. 3 or 4 attacks since you're in the wall. And that is just, that kind of sucks as your only ability. However, now in the Codex, they get a 4-up Feel No Pain. 4-up Feel No Pain is so powerful, and they get access to it for 2 battle rounds. That is so damn strong. You're running Mega Knobs in most lists, actually, but you're maxing Mega Knobs in Bully Boys in all likelihood. Maybe not absolute max, but you're running a lot of them. So in all reality, for me, I'm taking 3x5, and you will need some trucks to transport them, so they are a little bit pricey. Sometimes you might want to run just 2 with Gazgul, and that I think that'll depend on whether you're on WTC terrain or not, or it'll depend on a variety of factors. But I like running Gaz. Now there is an issue real quick that we can just talk about, and I think I spoke about it in a previous video. Currently, the way it is worded, Gaz and Makari do take up 19 slots in a battle wagon, which means you can't run them with also having 2 Mega Knobs with them, which is stupid, and it's really dumb, and I'm almost 100% certain it is not rules as intended, but it is rules as written. If you play on WTC, the WTC FAQ has specified that they do only take up 18 slots, meaning you can run them in a battle wagon with 2 Mega Knobs. But outside of that, just because of the new codex, they do take up 19 slots. Any TO who's worth their salt should understand that is stupid and should override it. But I just want to be transparent. As of right now, you do need to ask your TO about whether they want to run with 18 or 19, because rules is written, it is 19, which is, it's dumb, but it is what it is. So Mega Knobs struggle a lot into chaff, but they punch really hard into elites. If I'm running a unit with Gaz, I'm running them with a Power Claw and a Kill Saw. my other units, I might do double kill saw, or I might just stick with 1 power claw, 1 kill saw. I'm never taking guns on Mega Knobs. Guns suck. I like having the option to switch back and forth between AP2, AP3. I think that is the way to go. They do not need guns. You're never going to be shooting them. In the wall, you're going to be advancing charging them. Don't take guns. The guns are really bad on them. I don't care if Big Mech's giving them rerolls ones to hit and shooting. They suck. If you disagree with me, I'll fight you. It's fine. Take a power claw, take a kill saw. One unit you might want to run double kill saws in it. Now the real question is just the Mega Mech or the War Boss and Mega Armor. I think the real answer is both. If you do take the Mega Mech, you're always going to run him as a custom force field Mega Mech leading the Mega Knobs. All right, so essentially you're looking at, do you want +1 to hit? Or do you want to look at a 4-up invuln and resurrecting 1 per phase? If you run it with a Mega Mech, the unit's job is to not die. If you run them with a War Boss and Mega Armor, their job is to be tanky while they kill you. And these are 2 very different units. So I am going to be running one of both in the list that we're going to be talking about in a little while. But let's just look at this here. With a Mega Knob unit that's led by a Mega Mech, you get a unit of 5 to 6 models. That is, or to 7 if you want a 6-man unit. It doesn't matter. They are going to be 3 wounds, toughness 6, 2-up armor save, 4-up invuln, 4-up feel no pain with armor of contempt, resurrecting 1 per turn. That unit doesn't die. It just doesn't. I actually don't think of one unit in the game that just wipes it reliably. I don't think it exists. And the fact that you're resurrecting 1 every turn, and don't forget the Mega Mech can once per game heal a model D3 wounds. So if you have a unit of 6 and then 3 or 4 of them die, well, you're going to resurrect 1 and then you're going to heal 1 that was on 1 wound. And that, when you resurrect a Mega Knob, you give yourself effectively 4 inches of free movement because of the size of the base. You can steal objectives with it. It just becomes a very big deal. Not to mention, even though now they're only hitting on 4s, ta-da, we have a really awesome stratagem called Arm to the Teeth, which allows you to re-roll hit rolls, meaning that unit can still hit really hard even though they don't have the +1 to hit. So I like the Mega Mech a lot. I like the War Boss and Mega Armor. I think they're both very viable. Let's move on to the Knobs. Now, Knobs are going to be a staple unit in literally every single detachment for the Orcs because Knobs are just freaking great. They got a little bit of a points reduction, which is a good thing because they also got a little bit of a nerf with the Codex coming out. They are no longer -1 to be wounded when they're led by a War Boss. Now they go to the crappy version, which is you're -1 to be wounded if the attacker's strength is higher than your toughness. It's still not a bad rule, but it's nowhere near as awesome as it used to be, but it's still fairly solid, and Knobs are still really, really great. These are the dudes that do the hitting. 5-man units. In all reality, actually, I might start running my Knobs with big choppas. Previously in the index, it was always claws all the time. Now I might be actually strongly considering big choppas because one of the big struggles with bully boys is they have a hard time dealing with chaff. Well, big choppas, you're going to be in the wall for 2 turns, so you're going to be at strength 8 for both turns. Now suddenly you're hitting on 2s if you're led by a War Boss, which is a really big deal for clearing chaff. So I do kind of like that option. It's really not a bad idea. Now, one other thing to consider is I'm actually considering taking naked units with big choppas, meaning no War Boss to lead them. So they're still hitting on 3s with big choppas because they get to just proc the strats. You can always give them reroll hits rolls. It really is an interesting thing that you can kind of work out in Bully Boys that I wouldn't really try in other detachments because you're going to get that wah twice, which is kind of a very big deal. Now, I'm almost certainly always going to be running one big 10-man brick, and he's going to be led by the War Boss with the big gob enhancement. And in this brick, I'm probably taking a blend of big choppas and power claws. And here's my reasoning for this. Because in Bully Boys, we actually randomly don't struggle for AP. Gaz is AP3. All the kill saws, because we're taking 1 power claw and 1 kill saw on all of our Mega Knobs, they're AP3. You've got AP2 on the Mega Knobs. So we don't have to have our Knobs be our only source of AP2. So we actually can start outfitting the big choppas, which gives us a little bit of a different profile to lean into, and I really, really like it. Your Knobs are great for getting places. They're always going to be led by a War Boss if you are planning on leading them. Bully Boys have the only option in the game. Well, it's not the only option, but the only good argument for potentially using a Pain Boy to lead them. Now, I'm not running them with a Pain Boy, but there is a reasonable argument to lead your Knobs with a Pain Boy in Bully Boys specifically. Since you have access to the reroll hit rolls stratagem, you can actually keep your knobs hitting at a really high value. Then suddenly they get that 5-up Feel No Pain, and once per game they get to resurrect D3 models. It's actually not really a bad idea in Bully Boys specifically. You wouldn't want to really do that in any other detachment, I think. But in Bully Boys, you could consider running a Knob Squad with a Pain Boy. I do not know how good that unit is. I have not tested it yet. I'm theoretically working through it. I have a few clients who are running it. With mixed results. I need to run it myself before I'm really hardcore about it, but I do want to bring it up in this video that it is at least a solid option for those of you who really want to be running your Pain Boys. It might be viable in Bully Boys. For now, I'm sticking with the War Boss or the Naked units. Knobs do need transports. I think that's important to say. You need some trucks. Trucks are still mandatory. So that is knobs. That's how I'm running them. They can run naked in 5-mans. They can run with the War Boss or potentially a Pain Boy. I'm doing War Boss in 10-mans. I'm actually running big choppas in Bully Boys. It's still a blend. So I'm going to probably have 5 big choppas, 5 power claws. But knobs are freaking awesome. You're never taking them with guns. Even though guns look cool, they suck. They're just really, really bad, and it's not worth it. Even with the stratagem to give you reroll hit rolls, don't take the guns. And if you want to argue for it in the comments, because that's good for the algorithm. It's just a bad idea. Let's talk about Sagas. So Sagas actually do have a place in Bully Boys, even though they don't get access to any of the stratagems, because they're not knobs and they're not mega knobs. They have quite a reasonable utility here, though. Double Wah makes both flavors, whether it's the Snagas or the Squig Hogs, fairly interesting. They all love the Gaz's lethal hits aura, which will be active for 2 battle rounds, because Beast Snagas with lethal hits is scary, especially when they're going into like certain vehicles and monsters where they get to reroll hit rolls. It is spooky. Squig Hog Riders love 2 turns of hitting hard. They get their advance and charge twice. It's also very, very interesting. Neither one of these units are going to be the mainstay of Bully Boys, but they're both absolutely have some capabilities in them. And you do have to have the leader with them, because without the leader, they don't get the ability to double Wah, at which point you're just not going to take them. So I am going to be running a Beast Boss leading Snagas, because it's going to give me a really strong anti-vehicle monster unit that can just run in and absolutely nuke them, especially when you combine them with Gaz's aura. So Snagas have a place. I like them, and you'll see something in my list that might give you some ideas. Boys! I'm going to be taking a unit of boys in my Bully Boys, because one of the big problems with Bully Boys is we have problems with OC. Knobs are only OC1. Mega Knobs are only OC1. They're expensive. We're going to have less bodies. We need a way to get OC out there. Gretchen are a good option for this. Boys are a great option for this, because one of the things about boys is they have very high OC. They're giving you sticky objectives. They still actually hit fairly hard in the WA. And since you can lead a War Boss to them, you get to run them in the WA twice, because they'll get that War Boss keyword. So I really like them. They're actually a really good, fairly cheap unit that you can go and reliably kill basically every screen with, which once again, Bully Boys do struggle with. So I think a unit of boys is absolutely going to be transported into my Bully Boys list. Let's talk about transports. You have 2 options. You got the truck and you got a battle wagon. Both are good. If you like battle wagons, you're set. If you like trucks, you're freaking set. The only real issue with the battle wagon is sadly it cannot transport 2 5-man mega knobs with a leader. So if you're going to be running the battle wagon, more likely than not, you're going to be running a 5-man with a leader, and then you're going to be running maybe like a 5-man of knobs with a leader, and then maybe just a 5-man of ludas to do like actions, for example. So that is a option, and it's something that you can definitely do. If you're running the teleporter on one of your mega knob squads, which I'm running, you can essentially get away with only 2 or 3 trucks and then be really, really happy. So you can actually deload the amount of transports you need by using that enhancement, which is one of the reasons why I really like it. So guys, that is the tactics and the strategies and all the specific units for Bully Boys. Let's get into the list, and I'm going to talk about how it works and why I think you're going to have a good time running it. Here is the initial army list for the Bully Boys. And the Bully Boys themselves, this is 2,000 points on the nose. And let's just kind of break it down here. So I have a Beast Boss with the Ed Stopper. We've talked about that ad nauseum. It's just a very good solid unit that's going to go and deal a crazy amount of damage. And since they get the Wah twice, they get to advance and charge twice. So that is very, very nice. Then we're going to have the Big Mech in Mega Armor. No enhancement on this guy. He will have the custom force field, and he is going to be leading a unit of 5 Mega Knobs. This unit's job is not to do damage. That might be a hard thing to understand for a lot of orc players, but trust me on this. That it's okay to have a unit whose job is to not die. This unit can get shot by just about anything and giggle during the wall rounds, especially when you consider that they still have a 4-up invuln, and that 4-up invuln is really important. You want that over the teleport blaster because the teleport blaster sucks. And you do have things like T-Suns running around that can just say no armor save for you. And if you don't have that 4-up invuln, it can be a bit of a problem. Sure, you'll still have a 5-up invuln, but the difference between saving on a 5-up versus a 4-up is dramatic. So I like the custom force field. It means when melters shoot you, you still save on 4s, and there are a lot of melter weapons in the game, so it really increases the survivability a bunch. We are going to be running 2 war bosses to begin with. The first war boss is going to be running the Big Gob enhancement, and he will be hanging out with a unit of 10 knobs. That 10 knobs is outfitted with the big choppas and the power claws. I'm going to use this unit of knobs as a get wrecked nerd unit. So the goal is to kind of have them positioned in a truck or maybe on the field that I want my opponent to crash into my nega knobs, fail to kill them, and then my big knob unit gets to run in. Big Gob will get procced on the unit that I want to take the battle shock test, and they are just going to wreak absolute havoc. So I love that unit. And then once they kill their unit, I'm going to 6-inch consolidate them into a bunch of the enemy units so that whenever they want to fall back the one unit they really don't want to fall back, I'm going to pop the stratagem, which is called Cut Them Down, and suddenly a Land Raider Redeemer, which had to fall back, is going to die on a 1 through 3 or whatever, right? And that is a very, very powerful ability, and I absolutely love it. Then we have a war boss in Mega Armor. He does have the teleporter. He will be leading his own unit of 5 Meganons. And then lastly, we have Gaz, Traka leading his own unit of 5 Meganobs. This unit will slap. It will slap anything. I will always be running the power claws in this unit, and I'll almost, never say never, but I will almost never be using the kill saw for the Mega Nubs here, simply because the power claws are going to be at strength 10 and they're going to be +1 to wound already. There are some scenarios where maybe I just need that AP3 and Gaz's AP3 won't be enough. One thing that's really interesting about this unit that a lot of people are failing to recognize, and this is why you actually could just get away with only running 2 Megas with Gaz, because of the rule for persistent effects. If you are in the WA, and let's say Angron runs in, and Angron charges a unit, and there is only, say 2 Mega Knobs left, and Angron does his sweep and attacks it, and he kills the 2 Mega Knobs, and then Makari tanks 6 hits because he's rolling 2-ups, and then he rolls a 1. Well, you still get the Feel No Pain because it's the same activation. So Makari would then get to roll a Feel No Pain, and if he rolls 2 4-ups on his Feel No Pain, he's back to his 2-up invulnerable save. It makes the unit a nightmare to kill. And then once Makari finally dies, Gazcool himself has a 2-up arm save and a 4-up invuln, and he has a 4-up Feel No Pain until that unit's activation dies. So it becomes a very hard unit to kill, and then Gazcool Traka just punches back like it's no one's business. So that is pretty sick. So then that's that. All right, so I've got 10 Beast Snaggers. They're running with a Beast Boss. I got 10 boys. 1 unit is naked. 1 is going to be led by another War Boss. Then I've got 11 Gretchen, because Gretchen get us CP, and we love CP. We've got 5 Meganobs, 5 Meganobs, 5 Meganobs. I have them all outfitted the same right now. There is potential where for the Megamex unit, I might put them on double kill saw. I'm not sure yet. Then I've got 10 unit of Knobs. We've already spoken about that one. 2 5-mans of Storm Boys, because Storm Boys rock. You still need them. They can jump over. They can't really be screened. They can be screened from deep strike, but they can't really be, you can't be move blocked. That's what I meant to say. You can't really move block them because they have the infantry and the fly keyword, so they can just fly over anyone. Then I've got 2 units of trucks. Now, I only have 2 units of trucks, and I think that works fine. I haven't struggled. I haven't needed a third, because what I've been doing is I've been taxing them. If you don't know what the concept of taxing is, you need to go back and watch one of my previous videos. I believe it was called Sickest Combos Part 2. It was fairly recent, just like last week. And in it, I teach you how to use a truck for multiple units in the same turn. Essentially, what I can do is I can start the Mega Mech unit with 5 Meganobs inside a truck. In turn 1, they can disembark 3 inches, and so effectively they give themselves 3 inches of free movement, and then they advance to whatever objective I'm sending them to. And then I can hop in a unit of knobs into the truck, and then I can move the truck. So you can use 2 trucks to transport 3 or 4 units fairly easily. And that's why I only have the 2 trucks. I'm toying around with the idea of a third, but I really like this list right now. It's real strong. It hits super hard. It's got Gaz, who's going to be running up to go punch something in the face. It's got the Megamex unit who's going to go grab an objective and just will not die. It's got the boys to support with OC or clearing chaff. It's got knobs that are going to go kill something. It's got the beast boss that's going to go kill a big nasty. I'm going to be teleporter, so I'm going to be rapid ingressing the other big mech unit with the war boss and mega armor, who are going to cause massive issues. It is a nightmare, and the list is freaking awesome. Give it a whirl. Let me know how it goes for you. If you like this content, Grats and Gets, like and subscribe. We just passed 7,000 subscribers, which is freaking awesome, man. When I started this channel, I didn't really think it was going to be anything than just something that was kind of fun that I casually do on the side. I am just absolutely thrilled that you guys have been enjoying the content so much, and I just, thanks so much for supporting. And I'm going to keep bringing this stuff to you. I'm excited to get the other 4 detachments out to you, and yeah, man, that's just it. You guys freaking rock stars, and have a great freaking day. Krump on. Bye.